Fiorina is here with me. What's your reaction to that?
Oh, honestly, I find it sort of amusing. I don't spend a lot of time thinking about or focusing on what Donald Trump is saying. When his insults are below the belt to someone, then I will make a comment, just as I did. President Obama called anyone who disagreed with his Iranian deal equivalent to the hardliners chanting death to America. I just think insults are not helpful to the political process. We've got a lot of serious issues here, but most of the time I spend my time answering voters' questions and questions from the media.
Do you think Donald Trump will alienate female voters?
Well, it's not clear to me that Donald Trump is a Republican, first of all, based upon his willingness to run a third-party bid and some of the positions that he's taken. But I think it's really important as I go out there and talk, what I hear, what I see, are both men and women who are sick of the professional political class. They're sick of the festering problems in Washington, D.C. They agree that it's ridiculous that in the smartest and richest country in the world that we can't get basic things done like serve our veterans, secure our borders, and hold government accountable for being competent.
I want to turn to Hillary Clinton. You said she couldn't play the gender card in this race, but do you believe you bring anything to this race as a woman that your male counterparts do not?
I'm not running because I'm a woman. I'm running because I believe our nation is at a pivotal time. And I think I have a unique experience set in understanding the economy, understanding the players on the world stage, honestly better than anyone else running probably, understanding big bureaucracies and how to hold them accountable, and understanding technology. But the facts are I am a woman. And the facts are that half this nation are women. 54% of voters are women. And ultimately, I think our commander-in-chief, the President of the United States, has to represent all Americans, men and women. I'm a conservative, not a progressive like Hillary Clinton, because I know that our policies work better to lift women and men up, regardless of their circumstances.
And I want your reaction to Hillary Clinton turning over her server, her email server, and reports of classified emails on that server.
Well, in the debate last week, I made the statement that Hillary Clinton has lied. She's lied about Benghazi, she's lied about her server, and she's lied about her emails. And there were some in the media that found that language harsh, although the majority of Americans agree with me. And the more this story goes on, the more it becomes clear that she has lied. It's clear that this server was parked in some IT firm in New Jersey getting cleaned. Boy, that raises all kinds of issues. And it's almost hard to believe, it strains credulity to accept that a Secretary of State who handled all of her communications on a homebrewed server never passed classified information on her device and over that server. Of course she did, and now we're finding out she did, as usual. The cover-up is worse than the crime.
You also made comments last month on Fox that Hillary has blood on her hands when it comes to Benghazi. Are you saying she was responsible, somehow responsible for the death of those Americans?
What I'm saying is that the night the Benghazi attack happened, Secretary of State Clinton, President Obama, and others knew that this was a purposeful, pre-planned terrorist attack. Nevertheless, the next morning she addressed the American people from the State Department and talked about a video and how it didn't represent the values of the American people. And several days later, she stood over the bodies of the fallen and said the same. What she should have said that morning was the truth. This is a purposeful terrorist attack, and we will seek retribution. Instead, she basically apologized. And so what signal did that send? What signal did that send to all the bad guys all over the world? The signal it sent was, open season. We can attack an embassy, murder 4 Americans, and nothing's going to happen.
What would you have done differently in Libya? Would you have carried out airstrikes?
Well, it's interesting. I find the foreign policy of Secretary of State Clinton and President Obama entirely inconsistent. At the time, when bombing raids were conducted over Libya, the rationale was to prevent bloodshed and horror. You know, we had to step in to save people's lives. That's a good rationale as far as it goes, but we've never used it again. So we've done nothing in Syria. We really are sitting by when we could be leading a coalition of Arab allies to defeat ISIS. I disagree that we're at the point where we need to put tens of thousands of boots on the ground. What I think we do need to do, for example, is provide King Abdullah of Jordan, a man I've known a long time, with the bombs and the materiel that he's been requesting for a year and a half, instead of forcing him to go to China. What I think we ought to be doing is arming the Kurds.
You think he could do that without U.S. ground troops?
I think the Jordanians, the Saudis, the Kuwaitis, the Kurds, and the Egyptians are all fighting ISIS as we speak on the ground. They know this is their fight. Yes, they need leadership, resolve, support, and materiel from us. We haven't provided any of it, and if we did, it will make a big difference.
Do you think he'll be on the debate stage next month?
Well, I certainly hope so. I think we have gathered a lot of good momentum. You know, when I prefer to call it the happy hour debate, by the way, but, you know, when I went into that debate, less than 40% of Republican voters had ever heard my name, because I'm not a professional politician, I'm not a celebrity, and so as more people get to know who I am, our support continues to grow. I'm looking forward to being at the fair tomorrow and being on the soapbox, and I'm looking forward to continuing to reach out to as many voters as possible so that they can get to know me and get to know what I will do in the Oval Office.
Okay, thanks so much, Ms. Fiorina.